It's rare to find a really powerful small SUV with all its power directed through its front wheels, but that's what we have here in the rather dynamic shape of Hyundai's Kona N. Ford's Puma ST is the only other class contender that takes a similar approach, but this fast Kona also has in its sights four-wheel drive segment performance models like the Audi SQ2 and the Volkswagen T-Roc R. With 280 PS on tap and a track-tamed team behind this Hyundai, the prospects are intriguing.
You need a really clever set of engineers to take a high-sided small SUV, give it a really powerful engine and deliver really engaging drive dynamics, especially if all the power is going to be directed through the front wheels. You'd expect Ford to be able to deliver such a thing, and the Blue Oval brand has with the Puma ST, but that only offers 200 PS. Until the arrival of this Kona N, if you wanted more than that in a car of this sort, then you had to stretch to around £40,000 and get a model like the Audi SQ2 and the Volkswagen T-Roc R, which both need four-wheel drive to get around 300 PS to the tarmac. Ex-BMW M-Car engineer Albert Biermann and his team, these are the people who brought you the surprising Hyundai i30N hot hatch, reckoned they could deliver a small, front-driven performance SUV to plug the gap between those two categories of compact performance crossover. And the Kona N is it. With this wild variant, much has been borrowed from Hyundai's well-regarded i30N hot hatch, including that car's 2-litre TGDI turbo petrol unit, in this case tuned to 280 PS. Obvious rivals like Audi's SQ2 and Volkswagen's T-Roc R believe four-wheel drive is necessary to control that kind of output, but the Kona N directs it through its front wheels via an 8-speed DCT paddle shift auto gearbox, which incorporates launch control, so that in dry conditions at least, it'll fire you to 62 miles an hour in just 5.5 seconds. That's on the way to 149 miles an hour, all to the raughty melody of the standard active exhaust. But those stats don't really deliver the full story here. For that, you'll have to have properly programmed what lies behind these blue steering wheel buttons. The left-hand one activates Hyundai's usual Eco, Normal and Sport modes. The right-hand one is an instant way of accessing the fieriest N mode, and beyond that, the two N custom settings, which can be programmed on the central screen as you would in a BMW M car, selecting your favourite presets for engine, steering, transmission, the ELSD limited slip differential and the ESC stability system. Plus you can also alter the bassy note of that big bore exhaust, and you can sharpen up gear shifts with selectable N power shift and N track sense settings. It's all brilliant. Get all that right and you'll get yourself a really engaging tarmac tool. The steering's sharp, grip from the bespoke Pirelli rubber is prodigious, and there's enough traction here to make the most of the 2-litre TGDI motor, although it is really easy to spin the wheels away from rest if you're not careful with your right foot. Pedal feel from the N Performance braking system is great, and body roll is kept well in check by the stiff chassis, and that's been reinforced to suit this N model's higher performance remit. Is it all enough overall to make this car a more engaging steer than a rival Ford Puma ST? Well, it depends on your priorities. You've 80 PS more power to play with here, although much of that is cancelled out by the Kona's 227 kilos of extra curb weight, and the engine and exhaust soundtrack is certainly a lot more engaging with this Hyundai, with all manner of pops and crackles on the overrun when you brake for a bend, as the car activates its clever N corner carving differential. This limited slip differential is included as standard here, along with performance shift lights and launch control too, all three features being optional on that rival Ford. The electronically controlled limited slip differential is particularly impressive actually. It allows the wheels to turn at different speeds by applying different amounts of torque, and that reduces understeer during fast cornering. This is all great if you're hooning around Silverstone, but this car's rather firm ride won't be as welcome if your more usual habitat is suburbia, and this is where the Puma ST's more supple setup offers a much better balance. With this Kona, you can take the edge off the bumps by fiddling with the electronically controlled suspension settings in the N screen, but the ride never really settles down. Perhaps, though, Hyundai thinks that should be part of the whole N experience. This is certainly a proper N car, not a fashion-led parody of the Korean maker's already well-respected performance brand, and perhaps that's as it should be. Well, it looks the part, doesn't it? Even the engine gets N-Turbo branding, and the bodywork gets lots of body-coloured design elements with N-exclusive red accents. From the side, you'll notice the lowered ride height, the smart N-branded lower side sills, and the black-framed glass house with its black roof rails. And of course, the exaggerated arches housing big wheels. These are dark, satin-painted 18 inches with red N-branded calipers peeping through the spokes. You'd also want overtaking presence with a car like this, and the Kona N certainly provides that, with large air openings needed to cool the powerful N-tuned engine. The leading edge of the bonnet gets these slim Audi-style nostril outlets, flanked by LED daytime running light slivers. Blacked out Hyundai badge sits centrally within that cascading black grille, and lower down, the red-trimmed front splitter has been increased in size by 10mm over the standard Kona to improve aerodynamic drag and balance. At the rear, this large double-wing roof spoiler dominates the view, incorporating a triangular third brake light. Lower down, the rear bumper's almost taken over by this large ribbed diffuser, which enhances the airflow departure and minimises turbulence. It incorporates two huge tailpipes, one in each lower quarter. Inside, it's all rather less in your face, although some effort has been made to set this cabin apart. There are well-bolstered, blue-stitched, N-branded sports seats, finished in faux leather and suede. They position you nicely in front of this blue-stitched three-spoke steering wheel with its silver paddle shifters, its blue lower N-mode paddles, and bright red N-grin shift button. There's a blue stripe on the auto gear knob too, and more blue stitching features on the gear shift gaiter and the handbrake grip. Plus there are silver pedals, you get a bespoke drive mode selection dial next to the gear stick, and there's a special racing head-up display, and this is able to communicate updates like lap times and N-track maps. The central monitor and the instrument screen are both N-specific too. Let's start with the 10.25-inch digital supervision cluster you view through this grippy leather-trimmed wheel, which has blue N-paddle buttons hanging off the central spokes. Prod the left one and you'll find that the binnacle display changes in colour depending on your drive mode selection. There's white shaded normal, there's turquoise shaded eco and red themed sport. Selectable trip computer displays feature between the virtual dials, and for this N model, Hyundai has embellished them with an extra checkered flag section which gives you a stopwatch, a G-force meter and various engine readouts. Prod the right hand internal blue pedal and you go straight to the car's most potent N mode. This transforms the twin dial display into a single rev counter gauge to the rather chintzy accompaniment of a fiery ring. In the mood yet? Well, if not, hopefully you will be by the time you investigate the contents of this complementing centre console display, also 10.25 inches in size. There's a home screen that's full of icons, but most of the time a typical Kona N driver is going to want to keep this monitor in this N section, which really will deliver the required racetrack vibe. Quite literally on the right of the screen, where various circuits are displayed, all of the preloaded ones appropriately given this car's primary development location. These are all various Nürburgring track layouts. This is the screen you'd have open when driving the car hard, so there's everything a serious driver might need to know displayed at a glance: a digital speedo and a rev counter bar in the centre, above a lap timer with brake pressure readouts to the right and a throttle readout and temperatures for engine and oil to the left. Swipe to the left and the further screen, which is revealed then, allows you to input custom settings, maybe one set for commuting, the other for hard driving. You'll need to tailor responses for the programmable custom drive mode, and that means selecting your preferred responses for engine, steering, suspension, transmission, the ELSD limited slip differential, the ESC stability control system, and exhaust sound. Your key settings will appear at the bottom of the instrument cluster as you drive. From the custom screens, you can also activate launch control for Grand Prix getaways, and you can select from a further menu of performance options. This is also accessible from the main N mode menu screen. You might wonder at this point what possible further mode options there could really be. Well, there are quite a few, as it turns out. You can set the rev level for launch control activation, you can select the RPM point where the shift light illuminates, and you can activate N power shift and N track sense programs, which will give you faster gear ratio shifts. Serious stuff, quite a lot of which we haven't even seen on supercars, let alone a little SUV. But of course, all the sensible things featured too. So the central screen has the usual navigation, phone and media options, plus Apple CarPlay and Android Auto smartphone projection, and a premium 8-speaker Krell sound system. Just below sit your connectivity options, 2 USB-A ports, a 12-volt socket and a wireless charging pad. Let's switch to the rear seat, which doesn't do anything clever like slide or recline, but which by small SUV standards isn't too bad for the carriage of two folk, providing they're not especially lanky of leg. If they are, then compromises will have to be made by the front seat occupants to accommodate them. Headroom is not especially generous either, but all but the lankiest passengers should be fine, and these rear quarter lights prevent this part of the cabin from being too claustrophobic. Hyundai provides a central USB-A point and the usual seat back storage nets. Let's finish with a few words on boot space. The tailgate is light to lift, and it reveals the same 374 litre luggage area you'll get in the ordinary Kona. That's 82 litres less than you'd find in a rival Ford Puma ST. Push forward the 60/40 split folding rear seat and you'll reveal a relatively flat loading area with as much as 1143 litres of total fresh air if you load up to the roof. For this Kona N, the asking price from launch was just over £35,500. Key rivals include the Ford Puma ST, which costs a bit less, and the Audi SQ2 or the Volkswagen T-Roc R, both of which cost a bit more. Unlike the Puma, this Hyundai comes only with 8-speed automatic transmission. This high-performance Kona does, of course, have its own very bespoke level of trim. You can expect electronically controlled suspension, launch control, and a throaty active exhaust, plus a unique body kit with a big front splitter, a double-wing roof spoiler, and a large diffuser. N-exclusive 18-inch alloy wheels wrapped in bespoke Pirelli tyres are also standard, and you can have this car in a unique colour, Sonic Blue, although more conventional shades are of course available too. We've stuck here with Ignite Red. Inside, the central monitor and the instrument screen are both N-specific, plus there's an exclusive racing head-up display which is able to communicate updates like lap times and N-track maps. Useful features like wireless device charging, parking sensors, a reversing camera, keyless entry, adaptive cruise control and a Krell 8-speaker premium audio system also come as standard. And you get all the advantages of Hyundai's BlueLink connected car services. These include the downloadable Hyundai BlueLink app, via which, using your smartphone, you can remotely lock or unlock the doors and be advised if the alarm goes off. Using the app via your phone too, you can also access maintenance info on your Kona. You can send places of interest data to the car's navigation system, and you can find the car in a crowded car park if you've gone and forgotten where you parked it. As you'd expect, safety standards are very complete. The Kona N is equipped with a full array of advanced driver assistance system features. So you can tick off forward collision avoidance assist, that's autonomous braking, plus lane keeping assist, lane following assist, driver attention warning, high beam assist, blind spot collision avoidance assist, rear cross traffic collision avoidance alert, safe exit warning and smart cruise control. This is the only model in the Kona range which isn't in some way electrified, and the running costs of course reflect that. You're looking at 33.2 miles per gallon on the combined cycle and 194 grams per kilometre of CO2. Although if you get anywhere near to those figures on a regular basis, then you probably shouldn't have bought this car in the first place, and it really does deserve a better home. You know where we are? You might want to know that a rival Puma ST manages 41.5 miles per gallon and 155 grams per kilometre, although that car has manual transmission and 80 PS less. More worryingly for Hyundai is that a rival Volkswagen T-Roc R with automatic transmission, slightly more power and the extra weight of four-wheel drive can almost match this Kona's emissions figure, and it can slightly improve on its fuel return. The warranty is the same, of course, as you get on any other Hyundai, a 5-year unlimited mileage package, which is backed up by breakdown cover, which lasts for the same length of time, and with free annual vehicle health checks for the duration. As for servicing, well, your Kona N will need a garage visit every year or every 10,000 miles, whichever comes around sooner. If you want to budget ahead for routine maintenance, then there are various Hyundai Sense packages which offer fixed price servicing, and that's over 2, 3 or 5 year periods. You can pay for that plan monthly if you want to, and you can add MOTs into the 3 and 5 year plans for an extra fee. The Kona N usefully widens Hyundai's N performance brand, sitting alongside the full-fat N versions of the i20 and the i30. The sheer limitations of high-sided SUV-ness restricted what Albert Biermann and his Nürburgring-based engineers could do here, but it's still some achievement to have brought 280 PS to the table, directed it through the front wheels and made the car in question handle with engagement. You'll need to like a firm ride and be prepared to get engaged with all this car's many motorsport-orientated settings. But if both those things appeal, there's a lot to like here as part of a package that can make other fast, small SUVs seem a bit contrived and compromised. We'd still prefer a proper hot hatch, but if you have to have a small SUV and it has to be this powerful, then the Kona N is worth a look. It probably won't have been on your performance small car shopping list, but it is a credible contender and it'll look great down at the gym.